Deep in a sun-dappled forest, where flowers bloomed in every color and the streams giggled as they flowed, lived a big, fluffy bear named Bruno. Bruno was the gentlest bear in the whole forest. He loved to spend his days picking juicy berries, napping in sunny patches of grass, and giving the biggest, warmest hugs to all his friends. He had a heart as big as his belly, and a smile that could brighten anyone's day. But Bruno had a secret, a big, wobbly secret that he tucked away every evening. You see, as much as Bruno loved the sunny days, he was terribly afraid of the dark, when the sun would dip below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. A shiver would run down Bruno's spine. The long, dark shadows that danced between the trees looked like spooky monsters, and the quiet rustle of the leaves sounded like scary whispers. So every single night, Bruno would rush back to his cozy den. He wouldn't just curl up and go to sleep like the other animals. Oh no, he would light not one, not two, but a dozen little lanterns. He'd place them all around his cave, casting a warm, flickering glow that kept the scary darkness at bay. He'd huddle in his bed, wrapped tightly in his favorite blanket, with his eyes wide open, watching the lantern light dance on the walls until he finally, exhaustedly, drifted off to sleep. He wished he could be brave like the other animals, who seemed to welcome the night as a peaceful friend. One sunny afternoon, as Bruno was trying to reach a particularly plump honeycomb high up in a tree, his friends came to visit. There was Leela, a tiny firefly whose light blinked with a cheerful twinkle. There was Sammy, a quick and clever squirrel with a fluffy tail and an even fluffier personality. And then there was Momo, a wise old mole who spent his days digging tunnels and knew all the secrets of the earth. "Bruno, why do you look so tired?" chirped Sammy, scampering up the tree trunk to sit on a branch beside him. "You have big, sleepy circles under your eyes." Bruno sighed, letting the honeycomb go for a moment. "It's the dark, Sammy. It's just so dark. I'm scared of what might be hiding in the shadows." Leela the firefly blinked her light softly. "But Bruno," she buzzed gently, "the dark isn't scary. It's just the world taking a quiet rest. It's when my family and I get to shine our brightest." Momo the mole poked his little head out from a freshly dug hole at the base of the tree. "She's right, you know," he said in his calm, earthy voice. "Down in my tunnels, it's always dark. It's peaceful. It's a time for everyone to be cozy and dream sweet dreams. The night is just nature's blanket, tucking everyone in." Bruno listened to his friends. He wanted to believe them. He really did, but the fear felt so big, so real. That night, he tried to use only 11 lanterns. He closed his eyes tight and told himself, "The night is just a blanket. The night is just a blanket." But soon, his eyes popped open again, and he quickly lit the 12th lantern, feeling the familiar fear creep back into his heart. A few nights later, a powerful wind began to blow through the forest. It wasn't a gentle breeze that whispered through the leaves. It was a blustery, huffing and puffing wind that howled and whipped through the trees. It rattled the branches and sent leaves scattering everywhere. Whoosh! The wind blew so hard that it knocked over all the lanterns that lined the forest paths, plunging everything into deep, unfamiliar darkness. Suddenly, tiny cries of fear echoed through the forest. "Mommy, where are you?" squeaked a baby bunny. "I'm lost," cried a little foxcop. The wind had not only blown out the lights, but had also scattered the baby animals who were playing near their homes. They were lost, alone, and scared in the sudden darkness. Inside his den, Bruno heard the little cries. His heart thumped in his chest. He was scared, more scared than he had ever been. The wind howled outside his door, and the darkness looked like a giant, gaping mouth. He wanted to pull his blanket over his head and wait for the sun to come up. But then he heard another tiny sob, and he knew he couldn't just hide. The little ones needed help. They needed a hero. Taking a deep, shaky breath, Bruno pushed his fear down. He had to do something. Just then, a tiny light blinked at his doorway. It was Leela the firefly. "Bruno," she buzzed, her light flickering bravely against the wind. "The babies are lost. We have to find them." Looking at Leela's small but steady glow, Bruno felt a tiny spark of courage ignite within him. "You're right, Leela," he said, his voice stronger than he expected. "I'm scared, but they're even more scared. Lead the way. I'll follow your light." Together, they stepped out into the windy, dark forest. Bruno's fur stood on end, and every rustle made him jump. But with Leela's light bobbing ahead of him, he focused on his mission. He used his big, strong nose to sniff the air. "I smell a baby bunny over here," he called out, pushing through a thick bush to find a trembling little bunny hiding underneath. "It's okay," Bruno said gently, scooping the bunny into a warm hug. "We'll get you home." Next, they followed a faint whimpering sound to a hollow log, where a lost fox cub was curled up, crying. Bruno's large, gentle presence was comforting. He used his big body to shield the cub from the wind as he carried him back to his worried mother. With each baby he found, Bruno's fear seemed to shrink, and his courage grew bigger and bigger. He wasn't thinking about the spooky shadows anymore. He was thinking about helping his friends. He was being brave. One by one, with Leela lighting the way and Bruno using his strength and kindness, they found every single lost baby animal and returned them safely to their families. The wind began to calm down, and the forest grew quiet once more. Exhausted but proud, Bruno finally sat down to rest, with Leela twinkling on his shoulder. As the first golden rays of sunrise peeked over the horizon, the forest came alive with cheers. "Hooray for Bruno!" shouted Sammy the squirrel from a treetop. "Bruno is our hero," chirped all the families he had helped. The animals gathered around, nuzzling him and thanking him for his incredible bravery. Bruno looked around at the smiling faces of his friends. He looked at the rising sun chasing away the last of the night's shadows, and for the first time, he wasn't relieved that the darkness was gone. He smiled a big, genuine smile. He had walked through the dark, faced his biggest fear, and discovered that the bravest heart wasn't one that wasn't afraid, but one that did the right thing even when it was. From that day on, Bruno the bear still loved the sunshine, but he was no longer afraid of the dark. He knew that even in the darkest of nights, a little bit of courage and a good friend can make you shine. Thank you for watching, friends. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories. See you next time.